I'm going to introduce Paul Kristoff. Paul doesn't like to be called an influencer. His whole aim and his view on the industry is that he wants to support the industry, engage with industry, and I guess start to help us re-emerge as things start to improve. Because I appreciate that right now we've probably hit the bottom and hope we don't go much further down. But, and that's Paul's aim. He's got 125,000 followers on Instagram, am I right? Yep. And he is engaging with restaurants and restaurateurs all over the city. And so I'm going to hand over to Paul, and Paul's going to give you a bit of an overview about how he's seeing things right now across the industry, because I'm presuming you've got quite an understanding of what's actually happening out there in a way that we don't. Over to you. Thanks, Paul.
So is it my double mic?
That's just for my...
Okay, sorry?
Yeah.
Just this one?
Can you stand over there, please, Paul?
Oh yeah, where do you want me to stand?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I will stay here.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Paul. I'm in food, writing, photography, influencing a whole lot of things. I sort of found myself in this industry, I stumbled into it. So I've always had a real passion for the industry. I was always sort of the guy that friends would go to, bars, restaurants, where do you go? But then went to university, studied law, finance, qualified as a lawyer, did all that, and started a blog. It was really my creative outlet, and that was 2009. So the whole scene was very different, and a blog was actually a blog. There was no social media, and it was a very small group of people. I guess you had to have a bit of technical knowledge to start a blog. And I loved it. So someone who had always had a passion for the industry, but had not been in the industry, though I do harbour dreams of opening a bar one day. But my wife has something to say about that, but who knows, watch this space. But it was always good. I would say I'm industry adjacent. So in the early days, if you had a blog and the way you'd engage with restaurateurs and the industry, it was quite fun because there were maybe only a handful of us doing it anywhere in the world. I actually started my blog from Perth originally, moved to the UK, did some travelling around Europe, 2009 to 2012. And it was really just a place for me to dump my photos in for my family and friends back home to see what I was doing. Came to Melbourne, saw that there were food blogs and realised that I was going to all the places and could take photos and write as good if not better than everyone that was out there. So jumped into it, and in those early days in the Melbourne scene, it was quite a small group. And food PR especially wasn't as evolved as it is now. So a lot of PR agencies, maybe they had fashion clients or they worked with food brands, like Nestle or something, and they'd invite people and there'd be a handful of you, the 10 food bloggers in the city. You'd go to an event and it was interesting because everybody that was in that space at that time was in a similar boat to me, in that we had jobs that weren't in the industry, but we all had a real passion for the industry. And you go to these events and you'd speak to industry people, you'd speak to chefs, you'd really hear their stories, find out what the venues were about, what the food was about, but it was really about the stories and the people. And I loved that. That was exactly what I was interested in. And then Instagram came along and destroyed everything. So, a bit of hyperbole there, of course. But Instagram, what it did was, as with everything with the internet, it really lowered the barrier to entry, I suppose. So now anyone that had a phone with an internet connection could start an account. And the influencer, as we sort of know today, became a thing, which is why I'm loath to use that word, even though it's probably the best word to describe what I do. And really with influencers, you had people, I guess, who, the guys at MasterChef and the celebrity chef, I mean, obviously that started really in the 90s, but it really skyrocketed, I guess the early 2010s. And it was, you could be famous and you could get free food and all of that. So a lot of the old school bloggers that came up when I came up, left the industry. It wasn't really what they were interested in. But also, I was finding that events I would go to, it wasn't about venues sharing their stories. It was about, there's a DJ, there's a red carpet, take a selfie, and all of that. And I suppose that was good for a while because it fed into that hype, but it wasn't sustainable. And COVID, I think, really showed that. A lot of people dropped off. When the freebies stopped, people dropped off, the event stopped. And I think but there were a lot of people that supported the industry, and I know myself, I continued to support the industry. And I think coming out of COVID, it's interesting hearing Tony talk about in the kitchen, showing his new chefs techniques and things that he had done 28 years ago. And now people are like, oh wow, that's new. What's old is new. I'm actually finding that's happening in the food media world. We're seeing COVID, a positive of COVID was that it gave some clarity around messaging from a restaurant. Really, you have to know what you're about. I think people want a story now. They want to know, people know that the industry's hurting. So people with the economic times, people don't have much way to spend. I think people are being more selective about where they spend money. So if you can create a connection, if you can create content, I certainly try to create content where I can talk about the people, talk about the venues. In many ways, doing what I used to do before being an influencer was a thing. I find the audience can really connect. And I think in the industry, at least, dealing with media, I think that is something that people should leverage in this industry, certainly chefs, restaurateurs. It's not about, good food isn't enough. We are thankful to live in a city like Melbourne where the average standard is quite high. It's quite easy to get good food in this city. So how do you rise above that? And it is sharing your story, whether it's the story of the restaurant, the personal story. You create that. Like I won't go to a venue if I can't share a story now. I need to share that story, and that's what I find my audience connects to. And I think more and more we're finding that the wider audience is also interested in that story. And if you can, so I think as a restaurateur, if you're certainly engaging with media and you want to reach out to, whether it be traditional media, influencers, the lines are also very blurred these days. It's having that story, knowing what you want people to know beyond just your food. What are you about? And I think it's very important to tell that story. So when we have PR, it's quite interesting. I get approached by a lot of PR agencies, and I guess just like every other industry, there are some that are good at it, some that are not so good at it. So Hillary, for example, couldn't be here, who does a lot of PR now. She's excellent at what she does. She knows all the people on her media list from a broad spectrum of traditional and non-traditional media from her decades of being in the industry. And she gets an idea from her clients about what it is that they want to achieve from a particular campaign. And she will only reach out to the people on her list that she knows will resonate with the venue, and that she knows have an audience that will also resonate with that venue. And that's excellent. From my point of view, it means I don't just get a bunch of stuff that I'm not interested in. And it also means I'm more likely to engage, because I feel like I personally that's right up my alley, and easy to create content where it's something you're passionate about, as opposed to just blasting down the other, we have a new menu, or we've launched a new venue, here's a bunch of people that have a lot of followers, send out a blast and see what comes back. That's, that cut it pre-COVID. I think it doesn't cut it anymore. So I suppose the short version of my rambling speech is essentially know what your message is, know what you're about, know what you want people to know about you, and when you engage with media, make sure that you are engaging with people that know the people you're engaging with. Do a little bit of research. Look up their accounts, Instagram, website, whatever that may be. So, what's the content they've created over the past 3-4 weeks? Do I see the content that I want to be created at my venue in with that? And what is this person about? And if you find the right people to work with, if you know what it is that you want to sell, then it can be a really powerful tool. Thank you.
I'm going to step in here and do like a bit of a Q&A, pretty much banter with my dear friend Paul. We are similar in the way we get approached by media publicists to cover the event, and I always feel similar as Paul as well. We connected so well, become friends for so many years. I have also, because I run a marketing agency, I have approached Paul to come into my client's restaurant because I value his content creation. Particularly, I value words from him. And for me, why I think it's very important to close the gap between the marketing, the media, whether you see media as the TV screens or from your social media, they are all media. How do we close the gap between marketing, media, and the real chefs? For me, the real chefs, because for the industry, especially in a challenging time right now, to sustain and come out of this, we need to get to know each other. So my hope is that we will close the gap. And for Paul and I, we're very lucky and very blessed that we get invited in, because I think we have the audience that knows who we are and what we talk about, and there are things that we do not represent. So Paul, do you want to share maybe a very meaningful story, something that stuck in your mind about a particular restaurant or situation that you have been able to support? Because I know for one, recently I reached out to Paul because a Japanese friend, he's actually he used to be a head chef for Iron Chef Hiroki Sakai, the last remaining alive and working original Iron Chef. I went to his event 2 weeks ago. He is 82 years old, still cooking and still doing shows. Amazing. The discipline and all that, it's just incredible. I love chefs so much for that reason. And like his former head chef, that used to be his head chef in Japan, in his Michelin star restaurant, opened up a ramen bar in a city. And he was sending me, because he knows I was doing a lot of social media stuff, and said, Ross, I have these influencers that I think I want to reach out. What do you think? And they are all like wanting, $500, $1,000. And I was like, no, stop. Okay, keep the list. I'm going to call my friend in. And of course I called Paul, come in and cover this. And we do it out of our heart. We don't charge. We can't get ourselves to charge. We just want to do it because we believe in the food, we believe in the story, we believe in the chef and the techniques that's been used in the food creation. And you know what? Within a week after he posted on his Instagram, I think TikTok as well, you cover real TikTok and blog it, my friend said, I have a queue outside. So the impact that real marketing and real media influence can bring to a business to help the business grow, it is actually really legit. So do you want to share like a story with us?
I do want to share a story, and actually have a message I would love to read out, but there are a lot of messages in here to search through. So Roz raises an interesting point because that client, it was charging. It's something that really rubs me the wrong way when influencers say they want to charge somebody to create some content. To be honest, because I guess because I've come into I started with this one, influencing wasn't a thing. I have a job that I do aside from this. I don't do this for money. I do it because I love the industry. I want to share with restaurants. And it was really nice when Rose told me that story, because one thing I'll say, a lot of these people that try to charge, and be very aware if you're working with PR, if they try to make you, like anything, if there's the promises all sound too good, it's probably not all it seems. There are a lot of people out there that they'll show you stats, they'll say they know how to beat the algorithm, and of course nobody knows how to beat the algorithms. If somebody really knew how to crack Mark Zuckerberg and Meta's algorithms, they wouldn't be writing about restaurants in Melbourne, they'd be making a lot of money doing something else. And there's no way to tell. I've created content within a week, and sometimes something will blow up, it'll go viral, and it will do amazingly. And 2 days later, I'll create a piece of content that I think is as good, as engaging, and it doesn't really seem to do anything. And I couldn't tell you why, and nobody could tell you why. I think you just have to work with people that are going to create content that is genuine, and the algorithms do what they do. So it was really encouraging when, Roz, actually, that's the ramen place, it did do quite well, so I could see from the stats that it had a lot of views and a lot of comments, and it was really nice to see that it had actually resulted in people coming through the door. But I got this message a couple of weeks ago from this place called El Mercado. So it's a little Chilean couple that started a place doing empanadas and a few desserts. During lockdown they started doing it. They reached out to me actually May last year, and it took me basically a year to get out there. But I got there and it was amazing. I created some content, did really well. And I got this message on the 9th of May. Hi Paul, hope you guys are having a great trip. I just wanted to say thank you again for your post. The amount of people that has come to visit and told us they saw your video has been impressive. Last weekend was the busiest weekend in the history of El Mercado. Thanks to both of you and the beautiful video you made with people lining out of the shop waiting more than 30 minutes for empanadas. Mind blown emoji. Thanks again, hope you have an amazing trip. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your photos, blah, blah, blah. And, that is exactly why I do what I do. And it's hard to, but it is hard to know, because I was like 2 days later I could post something that I think is just as good as that post, and it doesn't do anything. The algorithm doesn't like it, but it does happen. So I think, going to my original point, if you know what the message that you want to sell and what the story you want to tell, and you work with the right people, something will get through. Not everything will. Not every piece of content that people create as a result of your campaign will do well, but something will.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. So I will get Sarah back to host the Q&A, and we're going to keep Paul here, and we're going to have Chef Tony Twitchett out here again. And this will be interesting to see how Sarah can ask some questions, and we'll have two sides of the spectrum trying to answer the same question. That will be interesting. So over to Sarah.
Okay, so I'm going to post sort of a curly question for you. As a not-for-profit chefs association, we've actually struggled with the media side of things to actually reach out to the bigger chain organisations, to the larger groups, to the wider chefs organisations, to the wider chefs actually across Australia. We know who we are, we know what we are, we know why we exist. We dedicate thousands of hours to the mission of supporting chefs in the industry. So what would you suggest we do differently to package the way we engage with the industry, to make us more approachable? How do we get them to kind of knock on the door and go, who are you? I'm interested. How do I interact with you?
I'm going to have Tony come in as well. Yeah.
I think people like launching the website is
Yeah, go for it.
Look, the launch of the website is great. I think it's people want to see an organisation that's professional as much as it sucks when you're doing a lot of good work, for lack of a better word. People want to see something that looks slick, and I guess it looks professional. So having the website out there is great. Interesting talking about young chefs and engaging with younger chefs. I think you have to be on TikTok. I learned that when I started with the blog, and then started doing Facebook and Twitter, and then started doing Instagram, and now if I want to reach anyone under 30, I have to be on TikTok. That's just a fact if you want to reach that younger audience. It's a very different way of creating content, but I think it's getting that content. The great thing about TikTok though is actually it doesn't have to be slick content. People want stuff relatable, so it can really be filming some behind the scenes things on phones, in a kitchen, people in the office, people doing bits and pieces out and about, and especially Gen Z really relate to that non-professional looking thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's having that.
So it doesn't look slick.
Yeah, it
but
doesn't
looks,
have to look slick.
Looks like we're making something
Yeah.
professional and we
It has to
look
be
professional.
thoughtful but not slick.
Yeah.
So I think thoughtful but not slick
Mhm.
content and messaging would be my advice.
Thank you. Much appreciated. And I'm assuming that you knew nothing about Technical Chef when I engaged you about 2 weeks ago.
Correct.
Yeah, so that goes to what I'm saying. We have been around since 2015, believe it or not. We've been kind of in the background, but what we've struggled with, as have the ACF and the Talk Blanche, is actually getting our message to the wider media. And I have to say, Paul, having you here today is awesome, and working with Rosalind has been incredible. My question to you is, how would we reach out to chefs at your level in the industry and connect? What do we need to do to get through the HR departments, to get through the front office, to actually engage with the people who want to know about a professional organisation like ours? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I mean,
Because seriously,
yeah.
we cost nothing to join.
Yeah, I mean,
It's $50 a year, you know, like.
the last 28 years, the only thing I've ever done is I've come to work, I work my 60, 70 hours a week, and I go home and I spend time with my family.
Yeah.
So for me to ever do anything, it's normally I'm dragged to it, or someone's put it in front of me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't go looking for things, because I'm actually more, my personal interest is more what's happening in the kitchen, with the food, with
Yeah.
the business.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my whole thought process is. I'm not out there looking for memberships, I'm not out there looking for clubs.
Yes.
I mean, the Latonche blog, I joined them about 10 years ago because Scott Pickett made me.
Yes.
It's just like,
Yes.
you got to join this. I was like, really? He's just, yeah, be part of it. I'm like, great, all right. And then I haven't been to one meeting. It's like, it's just one of those things. It's just, I'm just too busy with everything that we do here in the kitchen.
Yeah, but I think one of the reasons why, and I've thought about this a lot over the last 6 months. We as the association, so there's three of us. There's the ACF, Le Talk Blanche, and the Technical Chef. We actually sit underneath and underwrite the whole industry in a very quiet way. So we're the background. We're the engine room behind the industry. But the industry doesn't actually see that we're the engine room behind it. You can ask any of the committee in this room.
Yep.
We've dedicated, and I personally have dedicated thousands of hours. Robert Wood, that man standing there, he's
Yep.
a legend. He's dedicated thousands of hours. I can't even calculate how many hours George has given
Yep.
to the industry, right? We're the engine room behind the industry.
Yep.
We're one of the reasons why this industry in Melbourne and Sydney is so good. So what I'm asking is, how do we get the industry to acknowledge the fact that we're there? We're not asking for thousands of dollars to come on board. We survive on all that. Yeah, like it, yeah. We survive on a shoestring.
Yep.
More than anything, we just need the big players to engage in a small way to underwrite us and support us, and we can do a heck of a lot of work with very, very little. Yeah, and we have done for a very, very long time. So I'll ask the question again. How do we reach the people we need to reach? Is there a secret to that? Because somehow we've missed it.
I don't know if there's a secret to it other than just doing what you've done to me. Come in, sit in the restaurant, introduce yourself, and
Thank you.
you know, I mean, that's pretty much how you'll find most chefs. The ones
So
that
go and knock on some doors.
Yeah.
I've thought about it, but
The
I
ones that are
thought it was
committed
just
to-
too pushy.
yeah, the ones that are committed to their kitchen, that's where you'll find them.
All right, I'm going to
you know,
do that.
The media chefs, you can go find them if you know.
Yeah, no,
if you
they
want.
don't want to engage. They're only interested
But,
in their media world.
Correct, and I've never wanted to go down that path.
No,
I'm not
I
a
don't
media
either.
chef, but it's like the stories that I've created in that kitchen over the last 20 years is what keeps me going. The people that I've produced and trained in that kitchen have gone off and become Michelin star chefs.
Yeah.
They're the things that I love, and they're the things I hold.
And that's what
You know,
we all
yeah,
hold so
so-
dear, yeah?
So to answer your question, I think the easiest way is to go and knock on doors and put it in front of people.
All right.
Or
That's
get
my
a phone
mission
number,
in the school
yeah.
holidays, guys.
Get a phone number or
Yeah.
get an email address and send them an invite to look at the new website, you know, and just send emails to get people to engage.
Thank
I think
you.
that's the easiest way. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Yep, Julie's got a question.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. Can I bring students?
Yeah. We Magnus have done tours through here before, and they do Q&As with Sam for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Sam gets quite enthusiastic about it, and he'll take them through the whole building. So
You've just made her day.
his nephew, when Oliver, he goes to high school. You brought Oliver.
Secondary school.
secondary.
Oh, secondary school, yeah.
Julie's secondary school.
Yeah.
So she's before they get to William Angus.
Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sam's nephew. I don't know what school he goes to, but they all came here and he gave them a tour of the whole business.
Yeah.
Right, so do I just call front desk?
100%, you'll be able to speak. We've got Britt, Nada, and Jess who work in the office. They do all reservations, events, and the marketing. And mention that you're here for this event and tell them that I've said yes. Yeah, we'll be able to cater. Yeah. So.
All right, over to Robert. Robert's got a question.
No, I haven't got a question at all. I've given you the questions I want you to answer, Sarah.
Have I answered them?
Which is why chefs don't belong to any association, not just ours, but also, I've got two colleagues in this room that are also not members of our association. And I suppose it's about, even through my passion, through them, they don't join. So, it's a challenge as an individual to get your mates, your best mates to support what you do as well. So, and for the wider industry, that's what the challenge is for us.
Yeah,
After
100%.
10 or 12 years, this man here put me together. We met 5 of us in a bar. Didn't we, Graham? Yes. Yeah. And we concocted the whole organisation with the whole premise of professionalising who we are.
Yeah, nice.
We are professionals.
Yeah.
But more and more, we're not seen as professionals. And that was
Yeah,
the
well,
whole
that's
premise
because
for
of
our
me,
establishment.
and that's no disrespect to you because we know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, anybody watched the media last night where we had 3 or 4 high profile chefs, or they're not chefs, they're business owners, let's be honest, bemoaning our industry and how poor it's going at the moment.
Yeah,
It
Wes.
doesn't help us to have negative media about who we are.
That's what I said
and
to
what
him
we
this
do.
morning. I had a gut with him.
Yeah. We don't need that. We don't need them setting up their own association.
No.
In parallel to the Restaurant and Caterers Association.
I basically
And
said
that's what
that
they're
he
doing.
needs to come and
Yeah.
help us because we need people to come behind us and offer solutions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're going nowhere. We're going to have chefs leaving the industry again. Is what I said to him.
Yeah.
So you need to start coming behind us because we're the people offering the solutions. Yeah.
And it's not only establishment, yours is great, so a great example of what happens.
You're a positive
It's
story.
also the training institutions. They don't support us either. There was a time where they supported us through explaining who we were to their students when they're in training. That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
So we've lost connect with training through to the profession, and that's our biggest challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was actually quite a good talk at it with Holmes Glen TAFE probably 3 weeks ago, and had all the training institutes there. And William Angus was speaking to them, and they're saying that they're on the path now to try and get themselves back as an industry leader, because they've sort of
Yep.
they've lost a little bit of
Traction. Yep.
but also, and they're sort of saying it within their own staff, they've lost their mojo. They want to
Is that
get
right, Marie?
Yeah.
Marie's from William Angus.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
As is Suresh. So,
Which I love William. So I mean, I did my schooling there back in '96, and then I've done the Great Chef's Dinner. You know,
Yeah.
Is something that I think is absolutely fantastic. Sorry. to
Yes, it
interrupt
is.
you,
It's
but,
awesome.
Getting these, high flyers. I know you don't like being considered a high flyer, but
I'm not a media darling.
no.
No.
But I'm going to say, getting those chefs, that have been in the industry, done it hard, and our students know your names.
Yeah.
And they want to meet you, and to get the opportunity to work with you in a kitchen is one of the greatest things that William Angus does. I have to say.
Agree.
So I'm going to say yes. I know MasterChef. Everyone goes Baja, and I'm going to say my kitchen rules. But you know what? The reason why it gets students talking about it. Everyone's a chef, let's face it, when they see those sort of programs. But it's still engaging in that food, world to me. So, but it is time some of these high flyers came back and gave back to our industry. Our
Yep.
up and comings.
Yep. 100%. Yeah.
I'll get on
Robert.
behind this.
Robert's got a question.
well, it's a statement as much as a question, which is, that media example yesterday was, they want to lobby government. Well, that's one of the things we do. We have representation at government level.
Yep.
So by supporting
That's
this
what I was
organisation
Yep.
means you're supporting the ability to put our voice forward to government.
Yeah.
And it can't just be about three media, high profile, Newberry, etc. It's not about the industry as a whole. We've got to be able to put forward what are the issues for us. We were recently involved in a great communique with the government about visas, about training, about gaps in training, etc. So without us, that
and we
voice
spent
gets
6
lost.
months rewriting for the government what each chef does at each level in the industry.
Yeah.
All the way from commie to executive director, right?
Yeah.
Because the last time it was done was 2006.
And that's done by volunteers.
So Jeffrey
Yeah.
here, who's in Queensland, who didn't turn up today, I got the ball rolling, but I got this to take over.
Yep.
Jeffrey spent 6 months working on the job description for every chef's level, and he did that so diligently. He did such a professional job, and that will be there for at least 10 years.
Yeah, nice.
All in his own time, no pay. Yeah. So that's the kind
Yeah,
of
well,
work
it's
we do.
interesting that I
It
don't
needs to be-
know don't know that until today.
No, well,
you know what I mean?
that's right.
so,
Yeah.
And like these.
We put that out on social
Yeah.
media, but that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
Because the big boys are not picking it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree 100% with what you say, Tony, because when Sarah actually put it to you, how come you haven't returned, what do we need to do, and I said, and you said, from your perspective, your day, your whole week and your whole life is going to work 60 hours, that's it. That's a focus that I've actually got.
Yeah.
I understand that because I was in that for 30 odd years as well.
Yeah.
Stars,
Just
yes.
nose against the grindstone, and you don't even put your head up. Like, I take it you're a father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am too. Grandfather as well. I
Oh,
am.
congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. And family are living locally. There's all that. Plus, I'm the registrar for AITC, so I try and keep a tag on every one of our members as well. So I like to talk to them as often as possible. And if it was thanks to people like George, who I have kept in contact ever since I was at William Angus in 1982. Yeah, exactly. So I wouldn't have been swept up with the AITC thing as well, because it happened by the time this organisation actually sprung up. We were really in crisis at the time, because and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing as what I have. I haven't found staff. I just can't find staff. And it's one of the reasons why I'm not actively running kitchens anymore. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that gets it. You know what I mean? If you can't supply the crew, bosses, owners just say no one wants to work with you. Well, if you want to be drawn into that kind of narrative from people who just do nothing more than look at their screens all day, who are just intent of taking people down, and I agree with you. That is where we're at present as well. So all these, I'm just putting it out there for everyone to recognise what the landscape is that we're dealing with at present. So,
It's challenging times.
as Sarah and Robert said, yeah, we lobbied too with government. I was just got there with the skin of the teeth for about a month or so ago. We spoke to the secretary of the Job Skills Authority in Canberra. And he was interested in what we had to say.
Yeah, we spoke to him for about an hour. It's really good.
So we had a Zoom meeting and he just said, tell us what's it like out there. And I told him. So you get those opportunities, but this hasn't happened overnight. This has been so far about 8 years in the making. You know what I mean? And it's people like yourself that's going to really get the ball rolling. Because I always want to do something to pick up the game and be responsible for not having this industry disintegrate around us, so to speak. And I'm finding it. You know, it's been really, really good. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Thanks.
I was going to say.
Yeah, Tina, come in.
I was going to say, as a sponsor of Technical Chef, I'm not a chef. I'd love to be a chef, but I'm not a chef. But representing at the final year level, whether it's training schools, and going in and talking to all these students just before they graduate, and having them understand that this organisation exists and what it can provide, and by being a member of Technical Chefs, they get access to Julie, they get access to so many programs. Is that a way to get yourselves more known to students at a very early stage?
I think it's to me.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to thank Paul, Kristoff. What you had to say was absolutely awesome, and I think we engaged with it in a way that a lot of people in the room probably didn't expect, because they thought you were a paid influencer. So you sucked them right in. Well done. They've changed the whole perspective. And to you, Tony, all I can say is thank you so much for looking after us today. Your team have done an amazing job, and we appreciate the professionalism of your team, and thank you so much. And maybe, you know, you could send one of your team over to consider joining. That would be really, really awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Or if you've got any suggestions on. All right, Robert says why only one. All right, the whole team can join. Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks, Tony. It's been an absolute pleasure, and yeah, we'll do a bulk discount. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. We've really enjoyed the afternoon, and I'm going to hand back to you. Robert, over to you, mate. Hey. Yeah, you. You're gonna do the wind up.
Go, Robert. Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this afternoon. Thank you. My name is Robert Ford. I've been part of the association since its inception. And as I say, there were 5 or 6 of us that joined for a meeting, unbeknown what it was about. George roped me into it, and at Graham's venue where he was working up there, and with the whole premise of better professionalising or recognising our industry. And that's what we strive for every time we meet. We hosted it online with the express reason that our industry is so busy. We don't expect them to come to meetings. They can just log in and listen to us and engage through the online platform. That's really important for our industry to be able to do that while they're busy living the rest of their lives as well. I can't thank George enough for the opportunity to be part of this, and the other mentoring he's done for so many people in our industry.
And you.
Yeah. There's other committee members here which I'd like to acknowledge as well, and past committee members here as well. And all of us put in a lot of hours, and we all recognise that we do it because we're passionate. And we hope more will join us. That's what we want. We want to become part of a network of associations that support our industry. Each of the associations does something different for our industry. We're not trying to muscle in or take over. We're trying to be part of an industry-wide connection. And we do that through our association with those other institutions, and through like-minded bodies, and through government. That's what we strive to do, is to represent everybody in our industry. So thank you for joining us. please look at the website, please engage with it, please join. Otherwise we won't succeed and we won't survive. And it's hard. Look, I'm a member of a number of other associations as well, and we're all struggling for membership. I'll be totally honest, and I bring this up at council meetings. So we're not unique in our ability to connect with our potential members. And the question all is, what will it take for you to join us? What do you want to get back from us? What is it the $150 needs to give you to join us? Not just you, but your other team members. And I get this from all of my other associations. If I'm spending $150, I want to get some value back for that $150.
Yeah, but it's only 150. It's actually 210 once. So
Yeah.
includes the joining fee.
That's the point is.
$50 a year.
The point is, tapping into a meeting is not enough to justify my engagement, to justify my investment. We need to think about the tangibles that our members are going to get out of this. Lobbying government talks to a certain sector of our industry, not to those that are coming into our industry. So what are the tangibles we can offer them? And that's our challenge as an organisation, and that's a challenge that our council, our committee has all the time as well. Enough lecturing. Enjoy a drink, enjoy some conversation, enjoy networking, and thank you again for joining us for Reimagining AITC. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, we'll do one more photo, everybody. Well, is this a big group photo?
Along here, and I'll be back here looking this way.
Okay.